Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's webinar. This is aimed at our brand new cohorts of student nurses, so welcome everyone, and it's about supporting you with your studies and future career via the Royal College of Nursing. My name's Jess Sainsbury, and I am the chair of the RCN Students Committee. I've been involved in the RCN for some time now, but I'll tell you about that a bit later. So the format of this webinar, we have some lovely guests with us tonight, all with experience within the RCN, from our lovely student ambassador, representative from the library, membership support services, and we've got one of those, kind of quite important, well, everyone's important, but we've got our RCN England director with us as well this evening, and they're all going to tell you a bit about themselves and how you can get more involved in the RCN, and more importantly, what the RCN can do for you. Now, what we're going to do is I'll hand to each of our guests. They will say what they have to say. In the meantime, if you've got any questions, there is a Q&A box that you should hopefully be able to see. So pop your questions in there and we'll keep an eye on them this evening. And then once we've been through all of our guests, we'll ask them some of your questions. Any that we miss, we'll try and get those answers out for you as well. So please keep an eye on our social media channels, and we'll hopefully share some handy links too. So without further ado, I guess we should hand over to our first speaker, who is Mike. Mike, over to you.
Thanks, Jess. Hello, everyone. My name's Mike Adams, and I'm the RCN Director for England. But the reason I'm on this particular Q&A is because I'm also the executive team lead for the Student Committee, who are the group of students elected by student members to take forward and highlight and lead on issues affecting students across the UK. So anyone who's listening, thank you for tuning in, if that's the right word, and hopefully you get to learn a fair bit more about what the RCN does, what we're here for, and actually how you can get involved as well, and how it will benefit you through your programs of study over the next 3 or 4 years, leading within nursing. Sorry. So my own background is I'm an adult nurse, registered nurse. I trained as a nurse when I was 18, which is a little while ago now. But for the last, I joined the RCN as a staff member in 2017. But the up to nearly 13 years before that, I actually worked in nurse education. So it is something I'm passionate about. I really enjoy my role working with the student committee, and this year more than any other, the student voice I think has been louder than ever as we've been through this pandemic. And you may or may not have seen the work that the student committee has done, but the voice of students has been really loud and heard and listened to through this pandemic, which has been fantastic to see. The RCN itself is a membership organisation of more than around 460,000 registered nurses, midwives, nursing support workers, and nursing students, and some retired members as well. We're both a professional body carrying out work on standards, education and practice, and also a trade union which offers workplace support and focuses on workplace terms and conditions. Our members work in a range of healthcare specialities and settings in the NHS and independent sectors. We also have members based overseas. As I said, members are retired, and around 35,000 nursing students are members as well. So you are, if you're joining us, you're joining a well-established and wide group of members of which to collaborate with, to learn from, and to get support from. Our role as an organisation is very wide, and you'll hear a lot more about that with the different speakers tonight. But essentially, we represent the professional interests of nursing staff working in the public, private, and voluntary sectors. We have a fantastic member support service called RCN Direct, that members can call in for first line advice on any issues they have. And then we have regional and country teams across the whole of the UK who provide local support and individual member representation for members in the workplace. They also support our fantastic team of workplace representatives that we have 3 different roles for that you might want to learn more about as we go forward. We have a place on the NHS Staff Council who negotiate pay terms and conditions for NHS staff, but we can also bargain for pay terms and conditions with our independent sector organisations and voluntary sectors as well. We pride ourselves on our support that we offer members, free confidential advice and support, as I said, on employment matters, career development, immigration, welfare, all these types of things. And we do a lot of work around influence in terms of lobbying governments and other bodies across the UK to develop and influence policies that improves the quality of patient care, that improve the work-life balance of nursing staff, and we, our through our campaigns, we would encourage healthcare officials and elected representatives to recognise the importance and value of nurses, nursing support workers and nursing students in improving outcomes for patients. So it's a wide range of things. That's a real whistle-stop tour of the different offers that we have. But if you're joining nursing at the start of your career, then do see the Royal College of Nursing as a community you can gain from, that you can engage with. To make any change for nursing, we need everyone to be part of that. We need everyone to raise their voice, and we'd absolutely welcome you in to be part of that, be supported by us, but actually take nursing forward. I think that's enough from me.
That's enough from you. I'm sure you've got loads more to say, Mike, but I'll ask you some questions later. Thank you so much for that. It's a really good, as you say, whistle-stop tour. And don't worry, everyone, if you don't remember all of that. We will be sharing useful links, and I'm sure you'll learn what all of these things are as time goes on. I know I can remember what it was like as a fresher, all of this information being thrown at you in your first week or so. So, well, I can't really hand to myself, can I? So the next person speaking is actually me. And I thought I'd do a little bit of storytelling, if that's okay, everyone, of like my experience as a student nurse and a student member of the RCN, because I am about to hopefully register next week. And I'm on a 4-year dual field nursing course doing adult and mental health nursing. So I've been a member since I actually signed up just before I set foot in university. I was a very, very keen individual. So I started in 2016, and I think probably apart from at freshers, and I know obviously that's going to be different this year, but we had people come and visit us at university, and I got the goodie bag, and that was great. And that was my involvement with the RCN, probably until the May after I started in the September. And in around May, June time, that's when the RCN has its annual conference, which is called Congress. And, I didn't know much about the RCN, but I received an email from my regional office saying, we're putting on a free coach and a hostel. Come to this conference for a couple of days as a student. We'll fund it for you. Have a great time. So I thought, why not? Let's get involved. So I did, and that was my first proper taster into what it's like to belong to the RCN family. I think you'll probably hear a lot of people say as you get more involved, and it was just a really good opportunity to kind of see what the current issues were for nursing, to network a bit, to get loads of goodies too. Everyone needs lots of free pens, right? And it was a really good taster into the RCN. So after that, again, that was in my first year. Didn't really do that much. I paid a bit more attention to the RCN, thanks to that. But it was in my second year where I got a bit more involved again. So there was another opportunity on a Facebook page. So there are RCN students' Facebook pages, regionally, and the national big one. So it was on the national one where a member of the students committee posted saying, oh, we're holding a photo shoot and we'd love some student members to get involved and tell us what you've been doing with the RCN, if anything. And I thought, oh, I haven't really done that much, but why not? Let's put my name forward. And I did, and I went, and it was for the One of Us campaign, which you can probably still find on YouTube somewhere. It's not that old. And I was speaking about the benefits that you get through RCN Extra. At the time, I think I'd rinsed it, I guess I'd say, and I used it for free cinema, well, not free cinema tickets, discounted cinema tickets. I changed my television provider, things like that, and I got a discount for it, so I was saving money straight away. And those are the kind of benefits that I was seeing from the RCN at that point. I also spoke about the library service too, and how that had helped me with my studies. So again, you know, I didn't think it was a lot, but at the time, but looking back, it was already making an impact on my experience as a student. Then after that, I got a bit more involved with my local branch. So you will all be assigned, if you look on my RCN, you'll know what branch you're in. I got involved with them and they were really keen for more students to get involved. And again, more people who are passionate about nursing, fantastic. And it just kind of grew from there, really. I signed up to be what we used to call a student information officer. Which are now called student ambassadors, and there are active student members within the RCN, and it all kind of really snowballed from there, really. Once I signed up for that, I had access to you know, training courses, well, not courses, but training days, where my favorite one as a SIO was where we were shown how to kind of lobby MPs, and it will not make it so scary, so that was great from the policy team. I went on a leadership day as well. So all of these kind of extra things that kind of enhanced my experience as a student. And I've also been on the students committee now for the past this is my second year. And there are so many highlights of being part of the students committee. I'm not going to tell you all of them, but I think for me, the standout few things would be on a regional level. I was able to organise a conference for student members within my region, and there was such positive feedback from that about how it was like enhancing their course, and they had access to researchers for safe staffing, and it was all, you know, really relevant to their course but also to the profession as a whole, and it was run by students, so they really liked that and it made it more accessible to them. Other things include I can't really ignore the fact that we have been a students committee in the middle of a global pandemic. So as students committee members, we've been speaking with quite important people within nursing, I think it's fair to say, and just been negotiating the student response to that. And that was never something that I ever thought I'd be able to do as a student nurse. I've also been to Athens with, thanks to the RCN, where I represented the committee at a European Nursing Student Association conference and AGM. So that's, you know, one of the possibilities as well. And I've had the opportunity to work with many other student nurses that I wouldn't have necessarily had contact with had I not been part of the RCN. Now, I could talk about this for ages, and I think I've already gone over my time, but just a few tips from me really is, you may think that you are just a first year, but you're not just a first year. Get involved as early as you can, and create that peer support network that isn't just within your university. Like, don't be afraid to reach out and just get involved with things if you're passionate about it. So before I rabbit on for ages, I think our next speaker, Emily, is a student ambassador within my region. So I'm going to hand over to Emily to tell you about her experiences, not only as a student member, but as a student ambassador as well.
Thank you, Jess. Yeah, so I'm Emily. I'm a third year adult and child student nurse at the University of Southampton. I, similar to Jess, became an RCN member quite early on. I think it was during freshers, when there was some RCN members, RCN staff handing out leaflets and things like that. Got the little goodie bag, which was great. I, again, similar to Jess, didn't really do much in most of that first year. I almost had the opportunity to go and perform in a kind of play, an interactive theatre style performance for one of the RCN meetings. I can't remember exactly what it was. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to that, but that was one of the opportunities that I had. Before I became a student ambassador, so that was for the majority of my first year, I was a student rep within my uni, which kind of opened my eyes to the wider workings of the uni, of nursing in general. I became much more involved with things, and I started following the RCN on Twitter and also joined some Facebook groups. So the RCN has a student Facebook group. There's also one for student ambassadors if that's something you decide to do. And they're so good. They're so great for advice. You can speak to people that you wouldn't normally get a chance to speak to, asking questions about placement prep, anything about modules, research topics, all that kind of things. And everybody's got such a different experience. It's just so lovely to hear things from people that you wouldn't normally get a chance to speak to. So that's one thing I would really recommend. And then about a year ago, I applied to be a student information officer, which is now student ambassador. And since I applied for that and was appointed, I have also been on development days, as Jess mentioned. And my favourite one was the leadership one, where we talked about things like using social media effectively and safely as a student nurse, which is so important. And then also having a voice as a student nurse, which again has become very prominent in the past couple of months. So that was all great. And then obviously COVID hit. And the support that I personally have received from the RCN has been amazing. As a student ambassador, we have a group chat within our region. So there's been regular check-ins from the committee, from our region members. And again, it's great to liaise with other student members and student ambassadors that you wouldn't normally get a chance to speak to. So especially with everything that's been going on in the last couple of months, we've all been in a similar situation, but it's been dealt with in different ways. And being able to speak to other people and see how they were doing things, and, you know, being able to take that back to university and say, oh, this sounds really good, how about doing this? It's just all been great, and support has been amazing. We've also had video calls with our region, where we can identify any problems that we've had. And then there's been the opportunity, if that is something that is very, very common and has been happening with a lot of students, to take that higher within the RCN and get something done about it, so that it doesn't have to, you know, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody else. And again, it was just nice to talk to people while everything's been up in the air, talk about other people's experiences and get some advice and things like that. But yeah, the main thing for me would be the peer support. As I said, the Facebook pages, the Twitter page, everything has been really, really helpful for me since I joined the RCN.
Thanks, Emily, and the Instagram page, of course, just to plug the other social media that we have as RCN students. No, it's really useful to hear like what you found helpful and how you've got involved. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences. So next we have got a representative from the library to speak to you guys, which I'm really excited about. So over to you, Janan.
Hello everyone, my name is Janan. I'm one of the librarians at the RCN. I've worked at the RCN since 2016 and the time has flown by. It's one of the best jobs I've ever had, and I'm sure you're going to hear this kind of thing a lot over your career, but nurses, seriously, you inspire me every single day, like the fact that you've chosen to do this course. And one of the best things about working in the library is that we get to help you while you're studying, and also further on in your career as well. So I think the best way for me to show how the library can help you is to just share my screen with you and just talk you through our website, and hopefully that will help you with your assignments when you come to do them. So I'll start by saying that the library is Europe's largest nursing specific library. So if you want nursing resources in Europe, we're the place to come to. We have a library in London, Edinburgh, Belfast and Cardiff, but most of our resources are available online, and we also offer postal loans as well. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country, we can help you out. So when you go to your university, obviously you'll have access to their library, but if you join as an RCN member, you'll also have this library in your back pocket as well. But to get to our resources, obviously you need to use our website. So I'm just going to show you how to do a search. So you start here in the I'm looking for box. You can see all the stuff I've searched in the past. So I'm going to just search for sepsis, something nice and easy, but very serious, and you will learn lots about it. So we can see here we've had over 410,000 results, so it's a little bit too many, so we need to refine them. I'm going to show you 3 things that are really useful that I always do when I'm doing a search. So here on the left, we're going to click full text online because we want stuff we can access from home. Your lecturers will go on about choosing articles and books that are recent. So here, if you look at my mouse, I'm hovering over the last 5 years. So I'm going to click on that and you'll see the date range has changed. So our results are going down as we go. And then the content type, we're looking specifically for articles at the moment. So I'm going to click on this one. You'll see it's got a green tick. And all right, so we're down to still over 50,000 results. So remember I said this is like Europe's largest nursing specific library. Sepsis is really broad, so you might want to add another keyword in up here, but just make sure that you've got these options on the left hand side, like to refine it. And then once you see an article that you want, you literally just click on it and you can log in. Now, I'm going to tell you a tip that I wish I'd known when I was studying. Something you're going to hear a lot about when you're at uni, especially in your induction, is about referencing and plagiarism, and how it's really important that you reference correctly. So we've got a little tool here. If you see the speech marks, if we've chosen to use this article, just click here. And on the drop down menu, you can choose what referencing system you want to use. So say most places use Harvard, I think, for nursing. So I'll click on that and it prepares the reference for me. So I literally just copy and paste that into the end of my assignment. Saves me a lot of time and effort, honestly, like when you've got like 15 articles that you have to find the reference for because your essay is due the next day. It's yeah, time saver. The only thing I would say is just make sure that the punctuation on this is right, because every university has its own style. If you're not sure, just give us a call, we'll help you out with that. The next thing to show you are our databases. So databases are where you go if you want to do more specialised searches for journal articles. And they all have different names. So one of the big ones that we have is CINAHL, and also the British Nursing Index here. So you need to be an RCN member to access these. What's important to know is that even though your university might have access to these databases, the specific journals that they subscribe to might be different than ours. So it might be worth doing a search on both of them because you might get different results. If you're ever stuck with using databases and it seems really overwhelming, we offer training sessions. Oh, let me, there we go. So you can see every Wednesday afternoon we have digital drop-in sessions. and they're held on Zoom at the moment, obviously with lockdown, and we offer one-to-one sessions as well if you want a little bit more bespoke training, which you can book online. If you want like more immediate help, we've got video tutorials as well with introductions and then more advanced searching if you go to this link here. The next thing I wanted to show you are our subject guides, which is just here on our site. Subject guides are a really good starting point for research, and we've got them on lots of different topics. So everything from like dementia and diabetes to end of life care, to things like leadership if you get into management later on in your career. The one I'm going to show you is Gastroenterology, mainly because I wrote this one. I know more about my guts now than I ever wanted to. So all of the subject guides have key resources. So they will be important documents from the RCN, relevant professional bodies like Crohn's and Colitis UK, and NICE as well, which you'll hear more about as you're studying. Here you can see relevant books. So we've got links to the ebooks and also the physical books as well. And at the bottom, we've got searches for them. And we've got journal searches here too. So if I click on this, it will do that search that I showed you before, like all of those limits, but it will just be for this keyword instead. Let me see if I can, there we go. Right, the next thing I want to show you are our events. So at the moment, all of our events are being held online. The ones that I really want to highlight to you are our Time 2 events. So we've put these on because of COVID and nurses needing to, you know, we wanted to help you out and give nurses a chance to take some time out of their day. So some of them are fun, like Time to Quiz. Some of them are a little bit more health and well-being focused. So Time to Meditate and things like Time to Start a Sketchbook or like Time to Draw and things like that. All of these events are free to RCN members and it's worth taking a look at them. We also have our exhibitions as well, which are online. I realised that I have sped through things and there's a lot to tell you about with the library. So if you ever want to contact us, when you're on our webpage, you can see the blue tab here for chat now. So we have a web chat service and that will come through to me or one of my colleagues. Or if you want our contact details, just go to About Us and then you want the Heritage Centre one and that comes through to my team. And we cover the whole of the UK. So you've got our phone number here, which is still working, even though our library isn't open at the moment. You've got our email address there as well. So our library is currently closed, but we are offering postal loans. So if there are any physical books and we don't have an ebook version of it, then just get in touch with us and we can post it out to you for free. And that will help you out. So if you've forgotten anything that I've talked about today, like just give us a call. That's what we're here for. And I promise we're all super nice. A few people mentioned social media earlier, so I just wanted to show you we're on social media too. On Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, we're at RCN Libraries. The thing I would say to kind of echo what other speakers have said already tonight is that when you're starting as a nurse, like you have a voice and don't forget to use it. Twitter is probably the most active social media for nurses I've found. And if you want to get involved in debates and things like that, like this is a good place to go. Or if you want to keep up to date with events that are coming up and things like that. So just don't forget to use your voice. Yeah, I think that's everything from me. Hope that's all right.
Shannon, that was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. And honestly, I completely echo everything you've said. Like, just contact the library team. Don't be afraid. There's the Q&A, the chat function on the website if you're a bit scared about things like that. But they are all absolute babes. Honestly, I love the library team. So I'm going to hand over to Val, who is from Membership Support Services, if that's all right with you, Val.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready. Hi, good evening, everyone. So my name's Val Bailey, and I'm a nurse. I actually started nursing on the 1st of June, 1977. It's the date that sticks in my mind because it was the day after my 18th birthday, so you can imagine what sort of day that was. It's been a fantastic career. I've worked in lots and lots of different roles. I've worked abroad. I've been a district nurse. I've been an ITU nurse. Latterly, before I came into the RCN, I worked in higher education. So again, you know, education and working with students is, you know, top sort of priority for me. I came into the RCN about 15 years ago now. I worked mainly in professional practice. So that was all about supporting nurses with their professional practice around accountability, delegation, all of those sort of non-clinical type of issues. About 4.5 years ago, I came into member support services. So I'm the head of the department, and I head up 6 teams. So I thought what I'd do is just have a quick little sort of run through of some of the services that we offer. So virtually all of these services are only available for members. There is one caveat which I'll come to at the end. So our counselling team provides brief goal-focused therapy up to 6 sessions for members. It's very popular. We have a dedicated counselling team in-house, and we work with affiliates that provides that counselling. We also have a career service. So the career service provides career coaching that tends to be more helpful towards the end of being a student nurse, I guess. But things like statement checking, CV checking, interview skills are all useful skills, and we can help you with all of that. Lots of the resources are online, but you can book in and you can speak to a career coach, and you'll get a few sessions around when particularly when you're registered. I would say that's most useful. But as I say, towards the end of your time as a student, and when you're thinking about applying jobs, then, you know, if you become a member, please do get in touch with us and we can help you with just some sort of prep around that. We have immigration service, and we've got a team of solicitors and paralegals working in our immigration services. They're very busy at the moment because of the issues around Brexit, the immigration health surcharge. We work very closely with our policy team, lobbying around issues to improve the working practices really of international nurses. We're having at the moment, there's lots and lots of advice and support there for European nurses who obviously we're going to be leaving the EU at the end of the year. We also have a dedicated welfare service. That's, I would say, one of the services that's probably, along with counselling, is most used by students. So our welfare service provides lots of support around financial hardship, talking to you about some of the benefits you can claim. We have a comprehensive money guide for students, which always is well used, and it's updated. I think we updated it a couple of months ago. You can again, the welfare service provides casework for students, so anything and everything to do with sort of financial hardship is covered by our very experienced welfare team. Again, these are all in-house teams. Then we have in HQ, we have our peer support officer. And Holly's role is to work with members with disabilities, particularly in terms of students. There's around reasonable adjustments when you go perhaps from the university, which tends to be very supportive. You go into the clinical placement. Sometimes there's a little bit of adjustment if you have got a disability, and Holly's able to provide some disability coaching, but also to provide you with lots of information around any issues to do with disability. So last but not least, we have our Lumplight team. Our Lumplight team is supported by the foundation, which is part of our RCN group. We provide information again about income maximisation, so how you look at your benefits to improve your income, and also we offer grants, small grants to members. Now that tends to be less relevant when you're a student, but certainly once you register, that's something that we offer, and we would do an assessment. Those grants are available for those members that are in severe sort of financial hardship. So that's the team. To access any of these services, you go through RCN Direct. We have a very sort of streamlined type of member journey. So if you speak to somebody at RCND that do the first initial assessment, they will book you in for an appointment, and then you get a text reminder telling you when that appointment's due. So that's the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Val. That's really, really handy to know. And I think especially at the start, you know, it's quite difficult for people to be able to navigate all of the support that is actually available to students. So thank you for that whistle-stop tour. Much appreciated. So everyone, we have come to the end of the first part of the webinar, and we are going to go over to your questions from the audience. The first question I am going to ask of Emily. So Emily, how did you find juggling placements and uni work, and do you have any tips for a first year student?
This one will probably change depending on your university, but for me at the University of Southampton, they have split placements and uni work. So while you're on placement, they'll try their very best not to give you any theory work to do. There has been a couple of times where you have to you'll have some revision to do over placement for an exam when placement has finished, but most of the time it has been quite separate. But one thing I will say is that placement is very, very tough for everybody. It's long days, you're learning constantly, which can take a big toll on you, and you'll feel more tired than you've ever been in your life, but it's the best thing ever. And on those down days when you're not on placement, it's so important to look after yourself. And if you need to sleep for 5 hours in the middle of the day, then do it, because your body's telling you that you need it. So yeah, and obviously if you have uni work to do while you're in a placement block, just make sure you organise yourself, spread it out so that you're not rushing right at the end the week before you go back to uni, and then you should still be able to try and get some of that self-care in as well, which is so important.
Some top tips there. Thank you so much, Emily. I know I have definitely been guilty of leaving assignments to the very last minute, and every time I say I'm not going to do it again, then I do it again. Don't do it, guys. Too much stress. So I know this is a bit weird, I'm gonna ask myself a question, but I think it's probably best suited for me to answer it. Somebody's asked, is it realistically possible to be active within the RCN while not only being a student, but also as a parent, and how manageable is it? So I don't think I said this at the beginning, but I am a mature student and I've got 2 kids, one of which has just started secondary school, the other at junior school. When I did start the course, my youngest was at nursery, and you know, I'm not going to lie, it hasn't been easy, but I think the benefits are just completely worth it if you do get involved. And I think it's important to note that, you know, no matter how active or involved you get in the RCN, there will be times in your course where you just need to step back for a bit, and that is absolutely fine, because you are, first and foremost, for those of you asking, as student parents, a parent, and then you are a student nurse as well, and the reason why you've applied is to become a nurse. So if you sign up to be you know, a student ambassador, or you end up on the students committee, no one's going to hold it against you if you put your hand up and say, you know what, I need a couple of weeks to kind of get back to normal and get back on top of things, because I'm struggling at the moment. So I would like to say that being a student parent has not been a barrier to my activism. I know obviously everyone's situation is different, but you know, we all come from all sorts of walks of life, and you bring so many different things to the table. So yeah, please do get involved, even if you are a student parent, because you'll absolutely love it. So sorry, Emily, to come back to you, but straight away. The next question is, how did you manage within your first year? I'm very anxious to start, but something I've wanted to pursue for the past 8 years. What are your tips for this person?
I came straight to uni from college, so I can't really relate to you in that way, but it's a new experience for everybody, and I think sometimes we forget that, and the world feels like, you know, everything's happening to you and you don't know how to cope, and you've got this and this going on, but remember that everybody else, if they aren't in the same boat, their boat will be very, very similar. So just be completely honest with how you feel. I will speak from personal experience here. I really struggled on my second placement. It was a long journey time. I wasn't used to that. It was a community placement, so I was tired. You know, I was traveling every day and I struggled, and I reached out to my academic tutor, who advised me to, you know, take a step back. I didn't go in Monday to Friday for the last 2 weeks of it, and they spoke to my placement team. They encouraged me to speak to my placement team, and if I hadn't done that, the situation would have probably been very different. But if you reach out and be honest with how you're feeling, if you are struggling, the help is there, both from your university, your peers, and from the RCN.
Thanks, Emily. So the next question's for Mike. Mike, is there a forum where you could meet other student nurses or graduates during your first year, where we can discuss about our experiences in lectures and out on placement?
Well, I would encourage, in terms of RCN forums, there are various kind of Facebook pages and Twitter feeds, and that any member will be able, any student be able to seek out, whether that's your local, when you find out which branch you're in or which region you're in. So branches are in regions, and there'll be kind of layers of member activity in there. But also, I'd definitely point you to the work of the RCN Student Committee, who have a fantastic Twitter feed and a Facebook page. And I mean, I'm not on there. I get involved in the Twitter stuff, but I'm not, you know, I'm not in touch enough for the cut and thrust of the student Facebook page. But to be honest, the support that the student committee do give students, and the way they escalate, if there are kind of themes of what people are dealing with across the UK, all the universities can run, you know, they're approved by the NMC, the regulator, to run their courses, but there will be variability across all different courses, and it's actually really good to talk to other students about what their experience, what's different, what's the same. You'll all end up at the same place, so don't worry about that if there are differences, but you know, it's a really good question to ask, where can I talk to other students, because you can learn so much from each other, and we're not, you know, we know we're not bound by geography anymore. So start, and if there's nothing in your own university that you can find, start something yourself. You know, find out if there's a get in touch with your local regional team maybe, or just ring RCND to see if they can get a contact for you. See if there's any student ambassadors in the university they can connect you with, or just start something yourself. That's how things start. But yeah, have a look what there is for students, and you'll find a number of platforms that you can get talking to people.
I love that, Mike. Top tip. If there isn't something already, start it up. Why not? Love it. Thanks. Maybe in the RCN students Facebook group today, we can start a thread on like useful links to places, and other people can start signposting as well. I think that might be a good shout, and on the other social media channels. Yeah. Just
that one last point there. I think on that last question about, you know, worries and nerves about starting a a new course, and it's linked into this getting support from each other. Everyone wants you to do well. Your tutors at university want you to succeed. Your peers should want you to succeed. When you go into placement, the staff there want you to succeed, because we want more nurses. We want to build the profession. So try and have a positive outlook. Try and get involved with things, even if it's not diving into RCN activism straight away, but just connect with people and share experiences and gain support from each other. Sorry,
Thanks.
I did that on.
Don't be sorry. I like the tips are absolutely flowing tonight, guys. Loving it. So the next question is for Val, if that's okay with you. So this question is: I just started PG adult nursing. What would you suggest doing after completion? Nurse prescriber / nurse practitioner?
Gosh, the world's your oyster, isn't it? What I would suggest is that you speak to others. Definitely. You're in your first year, I think. Is that right? Yeah. So the careers service that we offer is a real useful tool in terms of career coaching. It's something that nurses use when they're not absolutely certain which branch of nursing they want to go into, or possibly they want a change of nursing in terms of roles. So there's two things that you can do. We've got a really good career pathway resource on the RCN, which sits within our nursing department. That's an excellent resource, and that gives lots of information about different roles. It's got videos on there, and it's got blogs from all different roles, and it's about real nurses working in real environments. So I'd really recommend you looking at that. But in terms of which career choice to make, it's early days. Speak to others. If there's something you're particularly interested in, then it's always worth speaking to people that are actually in those roles. But towards the end of your training, that's the time really to start thinking about perhaps some career coaching, because what our career coaches do is to talk you through your skill set and your interest. It's not about telling you which role to do. It's really about just giving you an opportunity, just a platform to sort of think, well, actually, yeah, those are the things I really love about nursing. What made you come into nursing in the first place? What are the things that really float your boat? Which are the things that excite you? So, for example, for myself, district nursing was probably the role that I enjoyed most of all the different roles I've done, and I was in that one for 16 years. And there were lots of things about being able to have that one-to-one with the patients, and to get to meet the families and the pets, etc., and have a really long lasting relationships. So exploring those sort of things that particularly towards the end of your training that have really excited you is a useful tool, I think, and talking to one of our careers coaches would be a good way. But meanwhile, I would just hang fire, speak to others if you can possibly, because the forums are useful. And sorry, Mike, I think I'm right in saying the students can join the nursing forums, can't they? So you're probably, well, you wouldn't be aware, but the RCN has many different forums, from the history of nursing to education forums to primary care forums. And as a member, you can join one of these forums and you can talk to other experienced nurses that are working in those roles. And you can join as many forums as you like now. They used to be restricted, but my understanding is John's nodding. Used to be 3, but now 6 or something. But now you can join as many forums as you like. Good opportunity, really, to speak to experienced nurses in the field that you're interested in. Hope that's helpful.
That's really helpful, and we haven't really spoken much about the forums, have we? And I didn't personally find out about them until a bit later in my time in the RCN, and that's another way that you can get more involved in the RCN. You can actually get voting member places at Congress via your first choice forum as well. So yeah, definitely. And I really like that piece of advice, Val, about if there's a role that you think you might be interested in doing, once you're registered, get in touch with people who are already in that position and quiz them. Like they love sharing stuff with students. Go for it, guys, definitely. So oh my goodness, I'm very conscious of the time now. It just flies on these webinars, doesn't it? So a library question for Janan, if that's all right. What does this is actually a question that I have been asked many times myself from people who are, you know, they are genuinely interested. What does the RCN's library offer that my university library doesn't? Because my library is amazing at uni, so why should I go for the RCN's one?
Because we're better. Well, it's a difficult question to answer concisely, but I am conscious of the time, so I'm going to try. The thing you have to think about with university libraries is that they have to purchase journals and books for every single subject that they teach. But because we're specifically a nursing library, everything we purchase is focused on that. So there's a good chance that we'll have the resource that you're looking for. If there's an article or a book that we don't have that you want, just let us know. If it's an article, we can get it from another library for you. If there's a book that you want that you think we should have, you can always suggest it and we'll purchase it as well. We do free postal loans, which I don't think, well, university libraries wouldn't do that. I guess because you can go there in person, but we send them for free now, which is exciting. And also the training sessions I would mention as well. So at your university library, they can get booked up really quickly, but come and talk to us because our training sessions are just for members and it will be more specialised as well. Like the people who work in those who run those sessions have been librarians for longer than I've been alive, and it is kind of scary what they can do with databases. It's incredible. So they're the best people to have like training you and to help you with your assignments as well, like to find stuff. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. Yeah, we like RCN's library is better. So there are still a few questions, and the ones that we don't answer we'll try and push out on social and get those answers. There are also future webinars as well coming up, guys, so just because you've attended this one it doesn't mean you can't attend a future one as well. But Mike, I am going to come to you with the last question because I think that this is something that is going to be on a lot of people's minds starting out the course. So they say, hi, I'm due to start my university course in the next couple of weeks. If first years are going to be attending placements, what is the probability of being placed onto COVID wards and dealing directly with COVID patients? Apologies if this isn't something controlled by the RCN, but just to add to that, Mike, I just think it's probably best place for us to have that chat because we've been quite involved in the student response to COVID, and you have the conversations with, you know, stakeholders outside of the RCN in regards to placements and COVID and stuff. So over to you, Mike.
Drop that on me. I mean, I think the final point of that question around is this something controlled by the RCN, and the answer to that is no, it's not. So the Royal College of Nursing, we're not a regulator, and we're not the employer, and we're not a university. So we're none of the things that are in control of this. But we do a lot of work around working with those bodies to try and influence and lobby on positions, and that's a lot of what we did with the student committee and Jess in particular through the COVID response. Now, where students are or aren't placed is very much an individual issue for the university and whichever employers, placement providers that they work with locally. It's difficult to say around what the COVID pandemic, this wave will look like going forward because it hasn't happened yet, and we are in a different position to how we were in kind of February time in terms of what we know about the disease and testing levels and things like that. So it's slightly an unknown, but there is locally what I think we would expect is that where students are going on placement, there would be risk assessments in place, whether that's an individual risk assessment for an individual student need, or a general risk assessment around with a placement provider university around students in general being in certain areas. So we would expect those, and those things will happen. I'm sure that's how placement providers and universities work all the time, assessing risk, assessing benefits of learning against risk. But the reality is that as you know, as if students go on placement, then there is always a chance people come into contact with COVID. But I'm sure that the things that will be in place will be ensuring that people have access to the right protective equipment, that they're not placing undue risk based on their own personal circumstances, and that ultimately it's still an effective learning environment, whilst obviously supporting the people who need caring for. So it's something we will be lobbying and being aware of and trying to be involved in the conversation around without being in control of, if that makes sense. And that's where we sit in this kind of environment, really.
Thanks, Mike.
Covered it.
Yeah, no, it's really helpful. And I guess to anyone watching this as well, you know, please raise your concerns, because whilst it might not be something that is the RCN's responsibility, you do have an elected committee who can raise those concerns to people and get your voice heard at the appropriate level as well. So yeah, thank you very much for that, Mike. So we are coming to the end, guys, and before I sum up and plug the RCN's new app, would it be okay with you, putting you on the spot, if I went to each of you and if just in one sentence, what is your top tip for our freshers? I will go to Val first.
I would say enjoy. Get to know your students and just enjoy the experience. It's it's a fantastic career. So just enjoy your freshers week, get to know your colleagues, and that would be my top tip. Relax. Yeah.
I like it. Thanks, Val. Janet?
I think in general, starting at uni is talk to everybody, because you don't know who's going to end up being like your BFF forever. Like, you know, just talk to everyone and get to know everyone, and then, you know, you can kind of pick and choose who you want as your friends, I guess. But in terms of what we've spoken about today, I would say just remember that there is support around you and that you can contact us, and, you know, we're here to help. Sorry about the siren in the background. So yeah. But yeah, remember that we're here if you need help.
Love it. Thank you so much. Mike?
I would say be kind, be positive, and remember why you wanted to be a nurse in the first place, to help others.
Awesome. Emily?
Mine is kind of a tip, but it is, you only get out of your nursing degree what you put into it. So you could quite easily sail through doing the bare minimum and, you know, still come out with a decent knowledge of nursing and the career that you're going into. But going that extra mile and, you know, signing up to be a student rep at your uni or signing up to be an RCN student ambassador, you just get so much more knowledge, and you get to use everyone else's experience to your advantage as well. So it all helps. It all helps as long as you just push yourself to just go for it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I guess for me, and I've probably said this already, is no question is a silly question, be it when you're in your lectures, obviously at the appropriate moment, out on placement, you know, when you're having a session with your personal academic tutor, or when you're with your peers or people from other year groups, just ask the question. Don't stew on it, just ask it, guys. So thank you very much to our presenters this evening. You've all absolutely smashed it. First one done. Great, guys. Thank you very much to our audience for participating and for your questions. If we haven't answered them, we'll get them out on socials, so you've got handy links and stuff there. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to plug the RCN app, which is coming out next week. It's going to be called RCN Starting Out, and it launches on Monday the 21st of September. So look out for it, download it, get involved. It'll be great, guys. We've been asking for this for ages. So if that's one positive to come out of COVID, we've got an app now. Happy days. Emily and I mentioned at the start, you know, when we started our nursing journeys, we got goodie bags from the RCN, and everyone loves a goodie bag. And don't think that we haven't thought of this during this time either. So you will be getting something in the post if you sign up. But what you really really need to do is make sure that you like put all the right details and stuff on your RCN. So, you know, obviously your postal address and things like that, but also making sure you put your training completion date on there. So just go through the boring form and fill it all out, and you'll get something nice in the post eventually. And if you want any further information about student membership benefits, you know, all of the stuff that we've been speaking about this evening, you just visit rcn.org.uk/join. Of course, we have to do a plug for you to join. Why wouldn't you? It's like 84p a month or something like that, I think. A tenner a year. Absolute bargain for all of the things you get. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope to see you on social or attend other events that we'll be putting on in the future. And have a nice evening, everyone.